Hello everybody, and welcome back to Reading with Grandma. I'm sorry it's been such a long time since I have posted a video. We had a little illness in the family. Everything is good now. We're all getting back to our regular routine. So back to storytelling for your young ones. Today we're going to start with a classic book. This book is called Once Upon a Time, and it's a treasury of all the old classic fairy tales. You see the gorgeous book this is? Beautiful hardcover. It's got gold on the sides. The photographs are just beautiful in it. Believe it or not, I picked this up at a thrift store for $1. This great big book looks like it has never ever been used. There's the back. It's got a castle. It's never been used before. This is an amazing book. So today we're going to start our stories. We're going to read the next couple of days of stories are going to come from this book. So we're going to start with one of the old-fashioned, there's all the stories that are listed in this book. We're going to start with one of the old classics. Oh, there's more. Look at that. There is so many. We're going to start today with Cinderella. This is a really old classic book, old story that's been around for years and years. It's been told different ways, but it's basically all the same. So we're going to start today. Now, this is written by Caleb Burrows and illustrated by Yoshika Jagi. Cinderella. Many, many years ago, there lived a beautiful girl who was cursed with a very mean, ugly stepmother. Not only the girl's stepmother's mean and ugly, but the woman also had two daughters who were even meaner and uglier than she. Now this dreadful stepmother expected her kind and beautiful stepdaughter to do all the dirtiest of chores. The girl peeled the potatoes and scrubbed the floors. She washed the dishes and split the firewood. But none of these tasks was as dirty as scooping out the cinders and ash from the fireplace. Cinderella, her stepsisters would chant. Clean the cinders, Cinderella. Cinderella, her stepmother would demand. Clean the fireplace until it shines. I don't want to see a single cinder left. So the beautiful girl worked hard, covered in dirt and ash, and the awful name clung to her. While her stepsisters wore gorgeous gowns and jewelry and flowers in their hair, the girl now known as Cinderella wore rags and scrubbed the dirty fireplace. One day, a messenger arrived with a very important delivery. It was an invitation to the royal ball. "Oh!" squealed one of the terrible stepsisters. "I hope the handsome prince will ask to dance with me." "He surely will ask me," said the other stepsister. "I am the most beautiful young lady in all of the kingdom." "I know the prince will be enchanted by both of you," declared their mother. "You are both lucky to be blessed with my good looks, unlike our little Cinderella." The three women then turned to look at poor Cinderella. They teased her for being dirty and for wearing rags. Soon the night of the ball arrived. The stepsisters excitedly squeezed into their finest gowns. They made Cinderella help them fasten their necklaces and style their hair. All the while, they scolded her and taunted her because she would not be going to the ball. "Ouch! You are pulling my hair!" yelled one stepsister. "While we are dancing with the handsome prince, Cinderella will be tidying the house," laughed the other. Cinderella watched sadly as they all left for the ball. When she was alone, Cinderella sat down in the garden and sobbed. "Why must I work all day long and be so wretched and so dirty?" poor Cinderella asked herself. "If only I could go and dance at the ball just for one night." No sooner had she spoken these words than Cinderella was surprised by a flash of light. Before her appeared a winged woman dressed in a flowing gown. "Who are you?" asked a startled Cinderella. "Why, I am your fairy godmother," answered the woman. "My fairy godmother?" asked Cinderella. "Yes, my dear," said the woman. "I am here to help you. I have watched while your family has mistreated you, and I have come to help you bring your good fortune you deserve. Tonight is the night of the royal ball, is it not? Would you like to go?" "More than anything," said Cinderella. "My stepsisters have already gone, But I must stay here. I have nothing to wear except these filthy rags." "Leave that to me," said the fairy godmother. With a wave of her hand, the fairy godmother showered the garden with sparks. When Cinderella opened her eyes, she was amazed by what she saw. "Why, my rags have turned into a beautiful gown," said Cinderella. "Look at these lovely glass slippers. The pumpkins and the mice from the garden are a coach and a team of fine horses. How did you do this?" "There is no time for questions, my dear," said the fairy godmother. "You must hurry to the ball, for my magic spell will be broken once the clock strikes 12. Dressed in her splendid gown and riding in her finest horse-drawn coach, Cinderella arrived at the ball. "Who is that stunning girl?" asked one of the guests. Sorry, the light is reflecting a little strongly. There we go. "She must be royalty," said another. Seeing the gorgeous young woman, the prince asked her to dance. With a warm smile, Cinderella agreed. "Who does that girl think she is?" cried the two stepsisters, not knowing that the stranger was really Cinderella. Throughout the night, the prince danced only with Cinderella. The other girls had come to the ball hoping to dance with him and perhaps make them fall in love with them. But the prince's eyes never left Cinderella, and she never left his arm. "I have never had such a wonderful time," Cinderella told the prince. Dancing with him, she felt herself falling in love. The prince was falling in love too. "Who are you?" he asked Cinderella. But before Cinderella could answer, the clock began to strike 12. She had forgotten all about her fairy godmother's warning. As the clock chimed, Cinderella rushed from the prince's arms. "I must get home," she thought to herself. "I cannot let the prince see me in filthy rags." "Come back!" cried the startled prince. "You did not even tell me your name." But Cinderella did not hear him, for she was already out of the palace doors. She flew down the steps. In her hurry, she dropped one of her glass slippers. The prince rushed after her. He did not see the beautiful girl he loved, but he did find one of her glass slippers. Picking it up, he vowed he would see her again. The next day, Cinderella was again in her rags, cleaning her stepmother's house. As she scrubbed, she heard the stepsisters talking excitedly. "The prince is searching the kingdom for the girl he loves," he said. "He has her glass slipper with him. Whomever it fits, he will marry," said the other stepsister. Soon the prince arrived at the house of Cinderella's stepmother. Cinderella watched, hidden in the corner, as each of her selfish stepsisters tried on the slippers, but their feet were too big for the delicate shoe. The prince was standing to leave when he spotted Cinderella. "Won't you try on the slipper?" asked the prince. "Dirty Cinderella," laughed the wicked stepmother. "Certainly she is not the girl you love." But the prince insisted. Sure enough, Cinderella's dainty foot fit perfectly inside the glass slipper. The prince had found his love at last. Cinderella and the prince were soon married. They lived happily ever after. And we're going to continue today's story with a story called Rapunzel. This is also a very old, very classic story. And this is adapted by the same person, Caleb Burrows, and illustrated by Kathy Ember. So now we're going to start Rapunzel. There was once a powerful and dreadful witch. This witch lived in a high castle that overlooked a garden. And in this garden grew the freshest and most beautiful fruits and vegetables. Next to the witch's land stood a sad and tiny ramshackle cottage in which a poor man and his wife lived. The wife was expecting the couple's first child. One evening, the couple sat eating their dinner of hard bread and cold beans when the woman had a craving. "My dear husband," she said, "I would love to nibble just a nibble of fresh Rapunzel lettuce that grows in the witch's garden. It would taste so much better than these cold beans and stale bread." So later that night, the poor man climbed the fence to the witch's garden and headed into the patch of Rapunzel lettuce. Just as he knelt to pick up the freshest head of lettuce he could find, the man heard a wicked cackle. He spun around to see the witch. "How dare you enter my garden?" screeched the witch. "And what do I see? You were trying to steal some of my delicious Rapunzel lettuce. Why, I never!" The woman cowered among the vegetables, begging the angry witch not to hurt him. "I meant no harm. I was merely trying to pick a bite for my hungry wife," he said. "Let me go home to her, for she is expecting our first child." "Go home?" replied the witch. "Take all that you want from my garden, but when your child comes, I shall take her for my own." The scared man climbed back over the wall and hurried home, his pockets full of Rapunzel lettuce. His wife ate her fill of the fresh lettuce. She loved it so much she decided to name her child after the delicious vegetable. Her husband did not tell her about the witch's nasty threat. A short time later, a baby girl was born. The woman named her child Rapunzel. Later that day, there was a knock on the door. It was the witch. "As I promised," said the witch, "I am here to take your child." "What is she talking about?" the woman asked her husband. But the poor couple could do nothing, and the witch took the child from them. Now, while this witch was very mean, she was also very smart. She knew that the child's parents might try to find her, so she locked little Rapunzel in a high tower. Days turned into months, and months turned into years, while little Rapunzel grew from an infant into a beautiful young woman. During her many years in the tower, Rapunzel had never been allowed to cut her hair, so it had grown long, very, very long. Her 2 golden braids had grown so long, in fact, that the witch put them to good use. The window to Rapunzel's tower room was very high, so to reach it the witch would call, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your golden hair." Rapunzel would obey, and the witch would scurry up the 2 golden braids. One day, a handsome prince was traveling through the forest. From a distance, he heard the girl's voice singing a lovely song. He was following the song of the beautiful voice when suddenly he heard a scratchy, ugly voice creak. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, throw down your gold hair." Through his spyglass, the prince was surprised to see a beautiful girl with long golden hair. She was perched in a tower window. He spotted an ugly witch climbing up her golden braids. In his hiding spot in the woods, the handsome prince waited until the old witch left the tower. Enchanted by the beautiful girl and her lovely voice, the curious prince crept up the tower and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, throw down your gold hair." Sure enough, as soon as the prince had finished saying these words, 2 golden braids of hair fell out from the tower high window. Taking hold of them, the prince climbed up the tower wall, where he reached the beautiful girl. "Who are you?" the prince asked. "I am Rapunzel," she replied. "An old witch took me from my parents when I was a baby. I have lived like this, locked like this in the tower ever since." "I will save you," said the prince. He climbed down the tower wall to the ground below. There he stood while Rapunzel leaped in from the window into his arms. No sooner had the prince rescued the beautiful young girl than the witch returned to the tower. Quickly, the prince and Rapunzel hid in the bushes. From their hiding place, they heard the witch call, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, throw down your gold hair." This time, no braids of golden hair fell from the high window. There was a shock to the old witch, who yelled, "Alas, Rapunzel has escaped from my tower. Now I will be all alone for the rest of my days." Rapunzel and the prince stayed hidden and watched as the old witch wandered off into the forest, whining and moaning and gnashing her teeth at having lost the prisoner from her tower. Once they could no longer hear the witch, the prince helped Rapunzel onto his horse and they rode away. After riding for some time, the prince and Rapunzel finally arrived at the home of her parents. It had been many years since the witch had stolen their child, and the poor man and his wife had grown very old. Yet their sad faces disappeared when they saw the beautiful girl with your golden hair. "I am your daughter Rapunzel," said the girl. "This brave and handsome prince rescued me from the old witch. He would like for all of us to come live with us in his castle. And that is exactly what they did, living happily ever after. So that's where we're going to leave it today. We have the first 2 stories read out of this book. Tomorrow's episode will be Puss in Boots, and then whatever stories after that. I'll check. Puss in Boots, Little Red Riding Hood, Jack and the Beanstalk, The Nightingale. There's a lot of stories in this book. So I hope you enjoyed our tale, Cinderella and Rapunzel. Let me know in the comments below if you did. It says on my channel, Reading with Grandma, that the comments have been turned off. I am trying desperately to get them turned back on. There is a way I can review them without them being posted under the videos. I can see what you people write. It's just that nobody else can, unfortunately. I don't know why they shut them off, but I'm trying to get them back on. But leave a comment. Tell me if you like the story and if there's anything you'd like to hear, for what age group you'd like to hear it, and I will be sure to find the book and read it. I've got a great big library at my house, and what books I don't have, I can get. So enjoy Cinderella and Rapunzel, and we'll read with you later. Bye now.